Thursday, and you know what that means. Welcome to Max Wrestling, episode 481. This is your captain speaking, and I am flying solo this week. No co-pilot to discuss every twist and swerve in pro wrestling. But of course, I'm not fully alone. Bia will be along at some point to discuss NXT this past week with you all. And we also have more cryptic messages from our world champion, Tedd P Dinero, for his upcoming challenger, Moses Marquez. And if that wasn't enough, the lawyer, Chad Malcolm, the current television champion, also has something to get off his chest. Plus, after a frenzied French fans took over Le Backlash, the King and Queen tournaments have begun. Who will be in Uncle Howdy's new faction and when we will find out. And Ric Flair gets drunk. Again. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud and Spotify. Wherever podcasts are available, you can find Max Wrestling Podcast and head over to maxwrestlingnet.weebly.com. So, talking to myself this week, but what do you want to talk about?
So, what do you want to talk about?
So obviously, with King and Queen of the Ring coming up in 2 weeks, the night before Double or Nothing, actually. Obviously, this past week on Raw was filled with tournament matches because obviously now they have to do one for the men, one for the women's. I don't know what the prize is, if they've even announced, if there is a prize. Usually it's just you got to wear a stupid crown for a few months and change your name to King or Queen, but as we discussed previously, they have given world title matches to the winner, specifically in 2002 when Brock won it, which, of course, is the last time it was really treated as a pay-per-view. I know they did it last year, but it still didn't really feel the same. But for whatever reason, it does kind of feel a little more prestigious this year, like the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring of, well, like the King of the Ring of old. There never used to be a Queen of the Ring. But anyway, getting ahead of myself. The first round, as we're going to go through in the Raw recap later on, we saw Gunther, Ilya Dragunov, and Jey Uso advance. And on SmackDown, as presumably this coming Friday, tomorrow night, we're going to be getting Kofi Kingston versus Rey Mysterio, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton, and Baron Corbin versus Carmelo Hayes. Well, one thing, we actually did some live events, gonna have some of the matches too. I don't know which is which. I just know that they're going to be having some of the matches on house shows in the first round. Quarterfinals are, of course, next week on Raw and SmackDown, which means the semifinals are the week after, on May 20th and May 24th. And on that May 20th episode of Raw, it's likely we could see Gunther versus Ilya Dragunov again. Anybody that's watched NXT will know how much those two like to beat the shit out of each other. But I'm gonna make a bold prediction. WWE are very high on Jey Uso right now, especially after that reception he received in Backlash. And if I were a betting man, well, I used to be. I think Jey Uso would be a strong favorite in this tournament. Closely followed by Ilya Dragunov, maybe Gunther. Gunther's probably the favorite, but I don't know. My money's on Jey Uso. Or Gunther. Now I'm talking myself out of it. But out of the three that have already qualified, they have got to be the winners. I don't think it's not gonna be Kofi. It's not gonna be Rey Mysterio. Don't think it's gonna be AJ Styles. Not gonna be Randy Orton. Not gonna be Baron Corbin. And Carmelo Hayes is a dark horse, but I don't know. I've skipped over a couple more actually. LA Knight, Santos Escobar are also going to be in the first round, and then Bobby Lashley versus Tama Tonga. I don't see Tama Tonga going very far. I got to be honest. I know he's new, but he's embroiled in this whole bloodline shit. Yeah, that's a really out the box one. But for me, it is either Jey Uso or Gunther. either way, we've already had some banger matches. I kind of wish that they'd have flipped it round because we've had the banger matches already. I don't expect the same quality, no disrespect, from the likes of Lashley versus Tama Tonga and Baron Corbin versus Carmelo Hayes. Um, Again, no disrespect to any of them, but like you've got to follow Gunther and Sheamus and Dragunov and Ricochet and Jey Uso and Finn Balor. Like, ain't gonna happen. As far as the women's goes, they haven't even fucking filled in the second half of the first round, so I don't even know who the other 8 women are that's in it. You should probably have thought this through a little bit more, Papa H, but so far, Io Sky has defeated Natalia. Lyra Valkyria has defeated Dakota Kai, and Zoe Stark has defeated Ivy Niles. We haven't had Shayna Baszler versus Zelina Vega yet, and as far as anything else goes, we don't fucking know because I don't know who else is in it. Like, what are you doing? Obviously, Drew McIntyre was pulled from the tournament due to injury. But I don't think that makes any difference. I can only imagine that CM Punk would have cost him his match anyway. And of course, Xavier Woods was pulled, which is why Kofi Kingston took his place. So, again, it does feel a little bit more like the old King of the Ring tournament. So, there's a little bit of prestige there. And of course, the final is King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia on May 25th. And again, they haven't announced if there is a prize for the winners, but it should be title matches. Like, I know that wasn't really the thing for King of the Ring back in the day. Like, it was never about getting a title shot. It was about getting a mid-card push until Brock came along and, they made it number one contendership and he obliterates everyone. So, I was hoping that they were going to keep that as an annual thing in 2002, and then of course they scrapped it the following year. So fuck you. But we'll see what the winner gets. Just don't make it lame. Give them nothing except a stupid gimmick that they have to parade around in for like 6 months. Because what's the point? If you're not going to win anything from it, what's the point? But if Gunther does win it, then obviously he's got to be next in line for a world title shot because that's his next push after losing the IC title to Sami Zayn. After that monster push that he had with it. I just realized I didn't make a prediction for the women's. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want to go as far as saying I don't give a shit, but again, if they can't be asked to fill in half the fucking tournament when the tournament's already started, then why should we care? But from who's qualified so far, give it to Lyra. I mean, who else are they going to put it? Probably Charlotte Flair. She's probably going to fucking return and come back to the tournament. Liv's already got a title shot at the pay-per-view. It's the PLE itself. So Liv's not going to be in the tournament. Nia Jax is probably going to be in there. Who else we got? Maxine Dupree? I don't know. Candice LeRae. Jade. Bianca. Where's all these women? You've got women to fill the tournament. Why have you only entered 8 women in the tournament so far? Like, at this point, they could just do the semifinals next week and then the final the week after. They've already done half the tournament. And I'm repeating myself because I'm just flabbergasted that they've started the tournament and only half filled it. But I digress. Also this week, actually, yeah, I'm going to go to this one first because Ric Flair, dude. One of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. A lot of people consider him the greatest of all time. He's a household name. He's fuck WWE. He's a 25 something time world champion. In actuality, um, he's a living legend, and Rick, with all love and respect, is embarrassing himself on a regular basis. Um, and not because of anything he's doing on TV. Like, I didn't mind him hanging around in AEW, just to say goodbye to Sting. Like, he didn't get too involved apart from in the actual final match, which is fine. It's not like he came back and had a match or anything. We're not talking about anything he's done on WWE TV or AEW. He's embarrassing himself in real life because let let's be honest, he has a drinking problem. Um, the problem is he likes to drink. Drink doesn't like him. And when he has too much to drink, he says stupid shit, does stupid shit. And this past week, Flair got into an argument with a restaurant. I don't think they kicked him out. I think they just cut him off. They stopped serving him, and he went off the fucking handle. Luckily, one of the staff filmed the entire argument, and this is what I mean by embarrassing himself. Rick just got in their face, started swearing at them, insulting them. He offered to pay one of the waitresses $1,000 tip just to say "kiss my ass" to her boss, who Rick presumably was arguing with. If that's who Nicholas Dickhead was. But I see stuff like this, and it just makes me sad because I know most of us have all the respect in the world for Ric Flair, and to see him deteriorated to this is sad. Um, Also, please stop tweeting every single word with a capitalization because it's annoying as fuck. I don't even know why you would do that because when you hit space, it doesn't automatically go up to uppercase, so you have to do that physically yourself. Why do you do that for every word? I don't get it, Rick. You're just giving yourself more work to do. Yeah, you're making it not harder for us to read, but more annoying for us to read. And when you go on rants like you did on X, um, about this incident, it's just a fucking paragraph of capitalization, every single word capitalized. Stop it. Stop capitalizing. Stop drinking so much. I mean, who am I to tell you not to drink so much? But if you're gonna do it, don't just try and control yourself. That's all we're asking. Stop tarnishing your legacy, Rick, because you're turning into a crazy old drunken man. And you've earned that right after decades upon decades upon decades in the business of laying foundations, paving the way, but it's embarrassing now. So sorry. And then finally, we're going to end it with this. So, we've seen QR codes for a couple weeks now, which obviously lead to the return of Uncle Howdy, who, as we all know by this point, is Bo Dallas. I mean, obviously, it's a shame we didn't really get to see a full run with him and Bray, but obviously, Bray couldn't do it. But I think it's great that WWE are finally allowing Bo to honor his brother and his brother's ideas and continue this gimmick, or at least bring it back. But not just bring it back, he's bringing it back in his own way. Obviously, he's going to be forming a faction from what we hear. And the names in the faction have been speculated. Obviously, we've seen names like Alexa Bliss, who has ties to Bray Wyatt. Liv Morgan, just because she's turning into a bunny boiler. But the names that I see in front of me make so much more sense because they all have been in factions like this before. So the names that are rumored to be in the faction are Nikki Cross, who of course has history with Sanity, and we haven't seen for a while. Dexter Loomis, again, haven't seen for a while, and he was part of The Way, but he was crazier on his own. Joe Gacy, who of course we saw in NXT leading Schism, and Eric Rowan, who of course is an original member of the Wyatt family. So they all make sense as far as I'm concerned. And it'll be very interesting to see if Bo like keeps a mask or unmasks and reveals himself. I don't know how this faction's going to work, like what kind of gimmick they're going to have. Excuse me. And we can only speculate about when they're going to debut as well, because at the moment WWE haven't confirmed anything on TV. All we've had is QR codes that we then have to chase, and then we see clues. Like there hasn't been like a vignette of Uncle Howdy, or they're coming, like introducing the faction, anything like that. It's the same as it was with Bray. It's a rabbit hole to build speculation, even though we all kind of know where it's going, but it doesn't matter. When they could debut is anybody's guess. We've got King and Queen of the Ring again in 2 weeks. We've got Clash at the Castle June 15th. We've got Money in the Bank in July, and then we've got SummerSlam in early August. So it all depends how much they want to keep teasing us. And it doesn't necessarily have to be one of the big events. Remember, Bray didn't always return at a massive PLE. His last return was, of course, at Extreme Rules. Hi, Bray. Fucking great timing. But yeah, maybe it'll just happen on Raw. I don't know. Personally, I don't know if I want it right now or if I'm happy to wait for it. But the QR codes are always fun, and you don't necessarily have to go chasing them because you can guarantee somebody will do it for you. But yeah, I'm interested, intrigued, excited for the return of Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy. The character didn't exactly go down brilliantly when they brought him in as a physical character for Bray, but I don't think they really had time or the opportunity to flesh it out properly. So I guess to us it felt kind of rushed, but I mean, you can't really help real life. So now they've had time to go back to the drawing board, rethink it, plan it out, and we'll see when they debut and who they target. And of course, who's in the stable? If we're right, if it is Nikki Cross, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan, I guess we'll just gotta wait and see. Now, sometimes cheetahs don't have spots. Sometimes this happens to humans, except the spots are brains. And as a result, it is now time for Shit Mark Say.
I'm gonna tweet. Me and my friend Mark, we're gonna stop watching. You're a whiny bitch.
Right. Shit Mark Say. Third week of its return. And already I've got to mention Eric Bischoff. Don't worry, this isn't going to be the only time I mention Bischoff on the fucking show. So, Grumpy Uncle Eric. This may come as a surprise to everybody, but he hates AEW. And in case you didn't know, he really hates AEW. Eric Bischoff is not a fan of AEW. Eric Bischoff wakes up every morning just to hate AEW. So, we saw a report this past week that Kyle O'Reilly wants to face Will Ospreay at All In. And obviously Bischoff can't help but take a jab, retweets it with compelling story, bro. And then one of his sheep jumps in with this nonsense that all matches need a story, needs to end. Actually, no, that's not a sheep. I agree with that guy. Then one of the sheep, excuse me, one of the sheep comes back with pro wrestling matches without story are pointless. What's the point then? Why do I care about who wins? Why am I invested in this scripted fight? Why am I watching? I got a question. Why is this only an issue when AEW do it? Because WWE are just as guilty as AEW. Braun Breaker recently squashed Cedric Alexander for no reason. And WWE do it especially on house shows. Cody Rhodes just defended the WWE title against Shinsuke Nakamura 3 nights in a row in the UK. Why? What's the story? On TV, Nakamura is nowhere even close to the title picture. So why is he wrestling Cody Rhodes 3 nights in a row in the UK? What's the story? A couple weeks ago, Nakamura lost to Sheamus on TV. Another match without a story. Why were they fighting? What's the story? Huh? And speaking of Sheamus, he also beat Ivar on TV before that. What's the story? See, the reason you dumbasses complain about AEW booking matches without a story, but don't say shit when WWE do it, is because you're too fucking lazy to find out what's going on outside of your little WWE bubble, so you don't know who they are. And that's on you. Moving on to Pro Wrestle Times. Yeah, I don't know either. Who asked a question. Well, actually shared a YouTube video of Orange Cassidy versus Trent Beretta from Dynamite and said, what does that do for anybody having the face Orange Cassidy beat Trent the heel who needs heat by cheating? What I can decipher from that question is, why is Orange Cassidy going over when Trent Beretta's just turned heel and needs the heat? Well, if you paid attention, yes, Orange Cassidy won the match, but Trent beat the shit out of him after the match, you dumbass. Are you new to wrestling? Because this kind of stuff happens all the time. You know, it happened with Liv. She didn't win the Battle Royal, and it's only enhanced her as a heel because she's even more unhinged now. And you see, this ties into the other shit Mark say thing, because bitches like you complain that AEW book matches with no story, but then you can't even grasp a very basic heel turn story like this. You give my ass an headache, you really do. But they are marks, and that's the shit they say, and I've only got the energy after all that shit for 2 this week, so even after all that, I need a fucking break. Join us after this. People get the wrong impression about Max Wrestling Podcast. We're a non-violent form of entertainment. We never use sex to enhance our image. As podcasters, we understand the importance of being positive role models. We're wholesome, family, entertainment.
You son of a bitch!
The 40-year-old fucking virgin.
Oh, you fucking did.
We're trying to make the world a better place for mankind.
Max Wrestling has a new attitude.
Get it?
Then it's probably not for you to get.
So a few weeks ago I said that there'd be a challenge today made to my challenger for the championship. I also said that it will definitely be staying in Dragon Club for as long as we choose necessary. Therefore, my next challenger is going to be an open challenge to anybody in the Dragon Club.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. I tried be a nice guy. I tried to play by your rules.
Anon Mascaras. For weeks and for months, you have stepped into my business. Did you give an explanation? What is your intent? After thinking about this for a long time now, you have no idea what you have just stepped into. I've always been told you'll never see it coming. And after what you and your two clowns try to do to me, the writing is on the wall. And this code is simple. I will get you. Remember when I got told, does the dragon run through my veins? I'm the only fire-breathing dragon that's gonna take you down. And if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out in a blaze of glory and bring you and your two goons with me. I made a promise to myself. I would never, ever bring him back. Anon Mascaras, you brought him back. You've brought back the most vicious, merciless, uncaring side of me. You tried to play with my emotions. You attacked me in my own home. You tried to get your two goons to finish me off. But you did it half right. You should have left me for dead. But you didn't get the job done. Full house. Let's put all our cards on the table. The minute you unmask, I'm gonna embarrass and expose you to the whole of Max Wrestling. That you are nothing more but a fraud and a fucking scared little pussy. And when I unmask you, I'm gonna unmask your two goons as well. Believe me. Lord have mercy, what I am gonna do to you. You wanted my attention. You've got my attention. And at Full House, you will bow down, and you will suffer like I have suffered. Anon Mascaras, game over.
Welcome back to the Cap Show. This is your captain speaking. Make sure you are liking and subscribed on YouTube. Follow us everywhere, and for all the information that you need, go to maxwrestlingnet.weebly.com. Still to come, the glitch in the system. Tedd P Dinero sends another message to El Jefe, and we'll get into this past week's recaps. But first, we've had the return of Shit Mark Say, and now for the return of another segment. We're going back in time for this week in wrestling history. A lot of wrestling Dontaku history from New Japan. Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Hiroki Goto in 2009 to retain the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. The following year, Togi Makabe defeated Shinsuke Nakamura to win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Tanahashi then defeated Nakamura in 2011, again to retain the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. In Emiya's favorite year, 2012, at the 40th anniversary, Low-Ki defeated Prince Devitt, Finn Balor, for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. Tanahashi and Tetsuya Naito defeated Masato Tanaka and Yujiro Takahashi of Chaos, and Kazuchika Okada defeated Hiroki Goto to retain the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. A lot of action in 2013. Goto and Katsuyori Shibata ended in a no contest. Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Carl Anderson. Shinsuke Nakamura defended the IWGP Intercontinental Championship against Shelton Benjamin. And Kazuchika Okada defended the IWGP Heavyweight title against Murder Grandpa Minoru Suzuki. In 2014, AJ Styles put an exclamation mark on one of the greatest runs of his career as he defeated Okada to win his first IWGP Heavyweight Championship. In 2015, Kenny Omega defended the Junior Heavyweight Championship against Alex Shelley. AJ Styles and Yujiro Takahashi represented Bullet Club in defeating Kazuchika Okada and Yoshihashi of Chaos. And in the main event, Hiroki Goto defeated Nakamura to win the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. And then plenty to talk about from 2016. The Elite, Kenny Omega and the Bucks, defeated Michael Elgin, Tanahashi, and Yoshitatsu to become the Never Openweight 6-man tag team champions. Yuji Nagata defeated Shibata for the Never Openweight Singles Championship. Okada defeated Sanada, and Tetsuya Naito defended the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Tomohiro Ishii. And we're going to close it with 2018. It became 2 nights, and just listen to the final 3 matches of both nights. Night 1 ended with the following 3 matches. Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada defeated Tanahashi and Kushida. Cody Rhodes defeated Kota Ibushi, and Kenny Omega defeated Hangman Adam Page. And then the final 3 matches on night 2. Bullet Club Civil War, Bad Luck Fale, Guerrillas of Destiny, and the Golden Lovers Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi defeated Cody Rhodes, Hangman, Marty Scurll, and the Young Bucks. Will Ospreay then defended the Junior Heavyweight Championship against Kushida, and Kazuchika Okada defended the IWGP Heavyweight title against Hiroshi Tanahashi. 2018 sounds like a fucking banger. Unfortunately, I did not see it, but I may have to go back and watch both nights now. That is all your history for its comeback. I was just going to go through a big history of wrestling Dontaku because that took up a lot of this week in history. So with that being said, let's get to the recaps from this week in wrestling, kicking it off with Impact, Total Impact to be precise, in 3, 2, 1.
Impact in 3, 2, 1.
Team Wrestling!
On Impact, AJ Francis, Rich Swann, and Bun B are up in the VIP balcony to kick off the show. Francis says they wanted a great seat for Joe Hendry's apology later on, so they were going to be sitting there all night. Mustafa Ali defeated Chris Bay with a 450 splash in a non-title match. Alicia Edwards defeated Danny Luna after Masha Slamovich hit Luna with a snowplow behind the referee's back. Hammerstone defeated Cody Deaner, in a Sin City street fight with a torture rack, and after the match, Hammerstone refused to let go, which brought out Jake Something, and Something took Hammerstone down until security broke them up. In a digital exclusive that aired after Impact last week, Nick Nemeth has a neck injury following the attack from the system, which allows Broken Matt Hardy to take his spot at Under Siege. Speedball Mountain and Broken Matt then form an alliance backstage to take on the system, as Matt Hardy renames them Trent the Seventh and the Ball of Speed. In what has been a crazy week for him, Joe Hendry comes to the ring to apologize to AJ, Francis, and Rich Swann, which is, of course, a concert mocking the hell out of them. This man is a gem. On the stage, the System addressed Matt Hardy and Speedball Mountain. Ace Austin then defeated Trey Miguel to become the number one contender to Mustafa Ali's X Division Championship. Josh Alexander and Eric Young also form an alliance backstage as they address their respective rivals, Steve Macklin and Frankie Kazarian. And in the main event, Jordan Grace defeated Mayu Yamashita to retain the TNA Knockouts Championship with a juggernaut driver, of course, but gets attacked by Steph DeLander and Khan until PCO evens the odds. Over to AEW now, and Rampage took place immediately after Dynamite last week, so let's waste no time for the Rampage report.
This is Rampage, baby. This is the show that y'all been waiting on. Adrenaline pumping your chest. This is Rampage, yeah. This is
So on last week's Dynamite Extra Time Rampage, Kenny Omega is wheeled onto a stretcher backstage after the attack at the conclusion of Dynamite. Once backstage, the Elite attack FTR, and Matthew Jackson then tells Omega it isn't personal, it's just business, as the Bucks throw him off the stretcher and onto the floor. Jay White defeated Dante Martin with a Blade Runner, and after the match, White takes a cheap shot at Martin but bails out before Darius and Action Andretti get to the ring to make the save. Backstage, Deonna Purrazzo addressed Thunder Rosa and says if Rosa wants to make it personal, they can make it personal. Also backstage, Big Bill and Chris Jericho blow so much smoke up each other's asses, it should be coming out of their ears. Kyle O'Reilly defeated Rocky Romero, reversing an armbar into a roll-up. Backstage, Saraya and Harley Cameron make fun of Mariah May and Toni Storm, and Harley then challenges Mariah to a match on Dynamite in a very confusing segment. You'd have to go watch it to understand what I mean. Undisputed Kingdom are backstage also, as Roderick Strong says Ospreay will need every bullet in his chamber, love that line, to beat him at Double or Nothing. And finally, Willow Nightingale defeated Sky Blue in a fucking brutal Manitoba Massacre match to retain the TBS Championship with a Babe with a Powerbomb through a barbed wire frickin' table. And there was no Collision this past Saturday, so we're finally getting back to WWE recaps. But of course, we're skipping SmackDown because of Backlash. So, give it up for me, because I'm taking one for the team, and I'm going in Raw. Following a ruckus time in France with Backlash and previous SmackDown, the Judgment Day opened the show on Raw, back on US turf, as Damian Priest apologizes to the group for losing his cool at Backlash. Finn Balor then boasts that Drew McIntyre's injury means he gets a first-round bye in the King of the Ring tournament. But Adam Pearce has some bad news for him, as McIntyre has a replacement. Jey Uso then defeated Finn Balor as he survives a sling blade from Balor and nails him with a spear. Drew McIntyre then appeared upset with Pearce for giving up his spot to Uso, but as Drew McIntyre drives away, CM Punk immediately arrives right behind him and heads to the ring. Punk apologizes for being a little bit late after being locked in the WWE offices for the last 48 hours. He then says he came for a fight with McIntyre, but as he's probably sitting in traffic, Punk asks everyone to tweet him to come back. Punk then fires more shots at McIntyre before leaving the ring. In the first match of the Queen of the Ring, Io Sky defeated Natalya with an over the moonsault, and after the match, Dakota Kai says she is subbing in for an injured Asuka against the Bird Lady, Lyra Valkyria. Ilya Dragunov then defeated Ricochet in the King of the Ring despite a nasty landing from a superplex and followed up with a H-bomb for the win. Ricochet has been very vocally upset about losing on social media afterwards. Kayfabe, obviously. Zoe Stark destroyed Ivy Nile with a Z360 to advance in the Queen of the Ring. Backstage, Braun Breaker asks Adam Pearce why he isn't in the King of the Ring tournament and gets taken into the office to discuss it. Also backstage, Dominic Mysterio brings Carlito into the Judgment Day's locker room with an offer to help each other, despite Damian Priest's skepticism. Bronson Reed versus Chad Gable ends in a no contest as Sami Zayn jumps the rail to attack Chad Gable. Gable fights back and Bronson Reed flattens them both with Uranagis. In the ring, Michael Cole interviewed Becky Lynch, who looks forward to who she's going to be facing from the draft as the Women's World Champion. Sorry, crybabies. And they're soon interrupted by Liv Morgan, upset that she wasn't mentioned. And has not received her promised title match. Lynch simply responds that she can have her match at King and Queen of the Ring. Damage Control then surround the ring as Becky and Liv go back to back, but Liv Morgan bails, leaving the group to attack Becky until Lyra Valkyria makes the save. In the Queen of the Ring, Lyra Valkyria then defeats Dakota Kai with the Nightwing, and in the King of the Ring tournament for the main event, Gunther defeated Sheamus in a big men slapping meat match with a single crab. And that's it from WWE main roster side. Now I'm getting a little bit thirsty because it's also very fucking hot today. So I'm feeling a round of beer is in order with NXT.
Hey guys, this is Beer. This is your NXT review for the 7th of May, 2024. NXT starts with a vignette with the return of the one and the only Wes freaking Lee. How we've missed Wes in the ring so much, it is unbelievable. Wes didn't lose a beat. He had a banger match against Josh Briggs to kick off the show, and then definitely has inserted himself to face the dominant Obafemi. Surely, Battleground North American Championship confirmed, literally non-negotiable. We then see Shayna Baszler defeat Carmen Petrovic. Carmen's new entrance is sick, by the way, with a Kill Bill style sort of entrance, and everyone knows I'm a Carmen Petrovic guy. Everyone knows that. I love Carmen. And it seems like Shayna has really redeemed herself in NXT, really aligning herself with Lola Vice. It's like two, former MMA fighters reuniting together. I'm a fan, and I love it. Shayna wins with a Karafuda clutch, with Lola shaking her ass after the match. Shayna Baszler having none of it. Then we recap the shock heel turn of Fallon Henley, and we see Kalani Jordan and Fallon Henley with a bit of a confrontation, which leads to a match for later on in the evening. Kalani has lost, unfortunately, to Fallon Henley with the Shiny Wizard, but that is not the end of the night for Kalani Jordan. But I am loving Fallon's heel turn. We see Tyson DuPont and Tariq Igwe defeat the No Quarter Catch Cruise Charlie Dempsey and Miles Bourne. At the beginning of the match, we see the lawyer of the D'Angelo family, Luca Cristofino, telling Alicia Taylor that the referee, unfortunately, was a bit under the weather, but we do have a special guest referee, and we have the underboss, Channing Stacks Lorenzo, as the referee. The No Quarter Catch Crew and the family's rivalry is heating up, with Tariq and Tyson getting the win. We then see Ariana Grace and Chelsea Green looking like they're going to be a great team. I'm a fan of how that will work out. Will Piper Niven come down to NXT for a wee bit? I wouldn't mind it, but those three look great together. I hope it will. Because Chelsea and Ariana were absolute comedy together. Which leads to poor Gigi Dolan in the background thinking, this is the most cringiest thing I've ever seen. Speaking of Ariana Grace, she has a match with Mia Yim Michin. I still call her Mia Yim, and Mia Yim's better. Mia Yim wins with the recoil and gets the 1-2-3. Mia Yim has inserted herself definitely to become the first ever Women's North American Champion. Now, this is the Mia Yim we have wanted since her return in 2022. We see Rich Holland comforting Thea Hale after a betrayal by Fallon Henley. Chase U comes and congratulates Thea with a very big win, and to be confronted by the one and only Lexis King by calling Thea a humongous loser. Later in the evening, Lexis defeats Duke later in the night with the coronation after Ridge Holland tried to interfere to help Chase U. Later, can also say that Riley Osborne stood up a little bit. Chase U forgave him, except Riley. Now, is this a slow little process of Riley Osborne turning heel? I am all in for that. I'm a huge fan of Riley Osborne. We then have the Supernova sessions with Trick Williams as a special guest. Trick gets a humongous pop as usual. We then find out what is in the envelope. We're definitely involved in the era of the Whoop That Era, as Trick calls it. See in the envelope that it's a photo of when Trick Williams defeated Noam Dar a couple of weeks ago before the match with Ilya Dragunov. We see Noam's foot was under the rope, which gave Trick a little bit of momentum towards his match against Ilya Dragunov. By the looks of it, Lash Legend has a little bit of feelings for Trick, leads to Noam Dar attacking Trick and then raising the belt above his head. By the looks of it, that is your main event for Battleground. Noam Dar against Trick Williams, and I'm all in for that. Charlie Dempsey cuts a very good promo to confirm that the No Heritage Cup Championship match against Tony D'Angelo is on for next week. But with the cat's claws in, who will Tony D face? Will it be Charlie Dempsey? Will it be Damon Kemp? Or will it be Miles Osborne? We don't know. It could be any of them. I wouldn't mind whoever it is. You can't have a good match against Tony D. You're in the wrong profession. And then we see the final 12 competitors who will feature in the tournament to decide the first ever NXT North American Championship. The final 6 in a tournament which will start next week. The 12 women are the following: Sol Ruka, Thea Hale, Jada Parker, Fallon Henley, Kalani Jordan, Tatum Paxley, Lash Legend, Brinley Reese, Mia Yim, Ivy Nile, Izzy Dame, and Ren Sinclair. My favourite, I've said since day one, the winner is going to be Jada Parker. If it's not Jada, I preferably, my second pick would be Kalani Jordan. Kalani is so underrated. For me, she is so damn good. Mrs. Carmelo Hayes as well, by the way. But I would be a fan of Kalani winning. But for me, I think the red hot favourite is Sol Ruka. But we'll have to see. We have Jasmine next confirming that JC Jane is unfortunately out to a broken nose due to an injury suffered by Thea Hale last week. Does this mean that Jasmine is going to go after Thea following what happened with the unfortunate injury to JC Jane? The main event of the evening sees an absolute banging main event between Roxanne Perez defeating Chelsea Green to retain her championship. Roxy again escapes with the Park Brox and gets to 1, 2, 3. But let's face it, we all know where this is heading to. Roxy's going to hold on to the belt. She's going to retain the Battleground. And after the match, because she's had a little bit of a feud with Ava right now, we know where this is heading. There's going to be a certain lady. She was born in London. She's wrestled in Japan. And she was seen at Stand and Deliver. Roxanne is going to have a showdown with Julia at Heatwave. And man, oh man, can I not wait to see Julia in the ring in NXT. But we also got some good news at the end of NXT. We find out the ring announcer Alicia Taylor is heading to SmackDown with Mike Rome coming down to NXT. Now, Alicia is fantastic. She's got a powerful voice in her ring announcing abilities. Her and Samantha are going to kill it, especially on Raw and SmackDown, respectively. But we'll have to see. Shout out to Alicia Taylor, and it's very well deserved. Now, what time is it? What's the time? You know the time. Jefe, take it away. It's last night at Dynamite.
Last night.
So, of course, no Moses this week, which means I'm going to recap Dynamite for you instead. So, we kicked it off with Adam Copeland as he's interviewed backstage as he arrives in the building and announces TK has agreed to make his TNT title defense against Brody King no DQ. We then open with still the elite version of the intro, which I still dig, gotta be honest. Orange Cassidy then defeats Trent Beretta, as we just discussed, with a roll-up, but gets absolutely destroyed after the match by Trent until Don Callis and Chris Statlander come between them. Obviously, Chris Statlander is torn between the two of them. She's still their best friend. And Don Callis is just... Right now, he's sticking his fingers in more pies than fucking Sweeney Todd. I don't know what he's up to. So, moving on from that, backstage, the Elite arrive using Tony Khan's parking space, and unlike WWE, acknowledge the cameraman in the back seat when they do stuff like this. From a hospital bed, Kenny Omega challenges the Elite to face Team AEW at Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing. And he names, of course, FTR as two of the members, but promises that we will find out the other two members of Team AEW by the end of the night. Tony Schiavone then interviews Serena Deeb as she talks about overcoming her recent health struggles to challenge Toni Storm for the Women's Championship. Tony then interrupts and calls Serena a charity case and tries to blindside her, but gets dropped with one single hit from the Professor. Backstage in the trainer's room, Orange Cassidy is interrupted by Rocky Romero, looking to earn a trios title match with Orange and a partner of their choice if he can beat Jay White. Mariah May then defeats Harley Cameron, but gets immediately attacked by Saraya, and it's Mina Shirakawa once again that makes the save. She teases kissing Mariah, and they drink champagne. Because, of course. Backstage, Bullet Club Gold interrupt Pac as he reflects on losing to Okada, with Jay White saying he knows all about beating Okada, and maybe he should add some more gold to his haul. Malachi Black then fires some very direct shots at Adam Copeland, and we've been saying this. It's got to lead to Malachi taking on Adam Copeland himself for the TNT title. And please, I love Adam Copeland, but give Malachi a TNT title run. It'll be sick. In the ring, Swerve Strickland says he's pissed off and calls out Christian Cage. As Christian claps back and makes his way to the ring with the Patriarchy, Swerve is backed up by the Mogul Embassy. In case you forgot, they are a stable. And out of nowhere, the entire Mogul Embassy turn on Swerve, slam him through a table, the works. They're then congratulated by the Young Bucks backstage. Willow Nightingale is also backstage and ready for Mercedes Moné at Double or Nothing. Jay White defeats Rocky Romero with a Blade Runner, and the Bang Bang Gang attack Rocky after the match, but it's Pac who quickly makes the save to scare them off. In the main event, Adam Copeland defeated Brody King to retain the TNT title in a brutal no DQ match, which ended with a spear from the ring to the outside through a table, as Copeland then rolls Brody back into the ring to make the pin. Brody King then immediately attacks Adam Copeland after the match, and it's Kyle O'Reilly who makes the save. Unfortunately, we went backstage for more of Mercedes Moné speaking into a microphone. Following that, Lexi Nair spoke to Cope and Kyle O'Reilly admits that he helped Copeland for a title match in return on Collision. Copeland respects his play and accepts the challenge. And then, of course, to close the show, the Elite come to the ring. They accept the challenge for Anarchy in the Arena. FTR interrupt and introduce their partners, Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson. And without hesitation, Team AEW attack the Elite. And that is how we very abruptly end Dynamite, because, of course, it went over a little bit. And that is Dynamite. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Moses Marquez made it official that he will challenge his MDO stablemate Tedd P Dinero for the Max World Championship at Full House. Since then, we've seen Teddy take to our Facebook group to send his cryptic messages to El Jefe. And here's another one from this past week.
Let me explain off the grid to Moses. Off the grid, meaning away. Away from rules, away from TV rules. Let me get inside your mind, Moses. Let's try that. Let me glitch the system. Try to glitch the system with Max Wrestling. What's next? Your world.
In 2 weeks, it is time for our next Max event, Full House, comes your way on May 23rd as we predict AEW's Double or Nothing. Plus, Tedd P Dinero defends the World Championship for the first time against El Jefe Moses Marquez in what is the last chapter of the MDO. The Phoenix's Knowledge Championship is also on the line as he defends against the mercenary Chris Reed. This is Chris's first trivia bout, and it is full trivia mayhem. And it's time for the prey to finally face the hunter as Beer goes one-on-one with Anon Mascaras. Will we finally find out the agenda or the identity of the leader of Legion? As we heard earlier in the show, the lawyer has issued an open challenge for a new challenger for his television championship. The only condition is it has to be a Dragon Club member. Well, Phoenix is busy and Travis is out, so I guess I'll see you in 2 weeks. For more information, go to maxwrestlingnet.weebly.com/fullhouse. Sorry, Chad, but I want my paperback. Ribs. Time now to put some points on the board for, and you can probably guess who's going on the board this week. This is the Twatometer.
Expect even less from a bunch of neckbeard stinky twats.
Alright, this week's Twatometer is going to contain 2 names that are already on the board. First off, I hate to do it, but Ric Flair, again, you embarrassed yourself, you caused a scene, and it's just the latest in a long line of offenses. So, Nature Boy Ric Flair, with all the love in the world for that ridiculous display, you get 20 points this week. And that puts you right above Lars Sullivan, the IWC. Sorry, Rick. But if it's any consolation, the next guy who is right above you is going to get a lot more points. And that goes to Eric Bischoff because, dude, you wake up in the morning and when the way most people have toast, you have criticism for AEW. Now, I'm not saying you can't criticize AEW, but I'm saying find a fucking hobby besides bashing AEW every single day. Like, even when it's unnecessary. Like, don't get this twisted. Moses and I have sat here and we have criticized AEW plenty of times, as well as sang their praises. Same for AEW, same for TNA, same for New Japan. But all Eric Bischoff ever does every single day is talk shit about AEW, or like he'll make something about AEW just so he can fire a shot. And you know, if it was a couple of times, I'd probably let it slide. But the fact that you do it every single day, I cannot log into Twitter or X without seeing a Bischoff bash. So Eric Bischoff, who is currently on 28 points, you motherfucker are getting 50 points this week. Damn. And you know what? If he could hear this, he'd love it because now he's right above Tony Khan and right below Vince McMahon and the sex ring. So there you go. Bischoff, you're in second place on the Twatometer, and I have no doubts you may actually overtake the sex ring by the end of the year if you keep this shit up. That sounds like a threat. That's not a threat. That's just a prediction. I don't give a shit. So Bischoff ends the week on 78 points. But we like to be nice to people too. So on the flip side of that, we are now moving on to the good side to put some good points on the board with the Yeet-O-Meter.
Yeet? You feel me? For real. Do you feel him, sir? Do.
For the Yeet-O-Meter this week, I think it goes without saying Jey Uso's got to get some points for taking over France. Going to make a joke. I'm not going to make a joke because that's tasteless. Jey Uso took over France this past week in a huge way. I'm going to give him 20 points. That puts him on 25. And he's in very good company there. He's now level with Scott D'Amore. And again, we maintain bring back Scott D'Amore. So 20 points to Jey Uso. Who else can we give points to this week? AJ. Let's give points to AJ Styles because he also got a massive reception in France. You can have 10 points. That puts you on 13, which is right between Cypher and my postman. That's good company. You know what? Just as a fuck you to Eric Bischoff, I'm going to give 20 points to AEW. Because fuck it. And they're also now in the same place as the postman. So there you go. That is the Yeet-O-Meter. 20 points to AEW, just as a fuck you to Eric Bischoff. I don't want to give points to anybody else. I don't know. No. I was going to give points to Moses for leaving me solo this week, but you know what? He's on vacation. Leave him alone. Family time. You enjoy yourself. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give Moses 5 points on the Yeet-O-Meter. You enjoy your time off, LFA. There you go. I'm also going to give Chad 5 points for issuing an open challenge and giving me an in back to the TV title because that baby's coming home. I'm telling you right now. Listen when I tell you. Chad, you want some? I'll give you some. That's the Yeet-O-Meter, and now we are going to close the show. Well, actually, yeah, there ain't no click this because Moses ain't here. So thank you for joining us. I hope we rocked you harder than... fuck it. Everybody else is talking about it. I hope we rocked you harder than Kendrick rocked Drake or something. I don't know, rap stuff. So obviously no click this week. Moses will be back next week to fill you all in on what's been going down. We didn't see the premiere of Ryan Squared Season 3. I don't have the details. I will chase it up, see what's happening, and get back to you next week. Or in the meantime, just keep a lookout for Season 3 to drop of Ryan Squared on their YouTube channel, The One Falls Entertainment. And until then, here's the socials again. You can find us on the Evil X Machine at Max Wrestling UK, at the Captain 512, and at SMR Podnet. Check out the website, which is, of course, maxwrestlingnet.weebly.com. And don't forget to hit the sub or the follow button on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and all the socials. That is it for this week. Join us next week for the return of Moses Marquez on our Go Home show to Full House. Cannot freaking wait, especially now I got a title match. Cannot freaking wait. What else is going down? Under Siege has already been. Sorry, we missed that one. Against All Odds is June, so yeah, no pay-per-views until in 2 weeks. Then we got double pay-per-views, of course, with King and Queen of the Ring and AEW's Double or Nothing, which of course is Full House for us. So until then, you've been watching The Cap all alone. Goodbye and good night. Bang. I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. My problems have all gone. There's no one here to ride me. But you gotta have friends.